Hey guys, welcome back and thanks for tuning in to my review of the Benchmade 940-2. What in my opinion is probably the best 940 yet. And I'm going to back that up in this video. Don't worry. I know you probably got your favorite, but I genuinely do believe that this is the best one yet. And like I said, I think I'm going to be able to make a pretty good argument for that. The 940 has been part of the Benchmade lineup for quite a while. And I'll show you the original here in a second, some other stuff. But that 940 has been a very, very popular Benchmade for a long time. And if you're a knife guy, you know about the 940. If you're a big knife collector, you probably got one already, or at least maybe even a couple, maybe a few versions of it, because it's that popular and it's that well received. Well received, is that what I'm trying to say? People just dig it, and for good reason. It's a great size. It's got a great steel on it, S30V. This one has S30V on it. Osborne design, as you can tell there. Great blade shape, nice strong tip on it, reverse tanto, and just fantastic balance and feel in your hand. That terrific axis lock, a good size. You can see that fits my hand pretty nicely, right? But it also is pretty slender, fits in a pocket really well. It hits all the notes, and this is the reason why the 940 in general, whether it's the Dash 2 or any other version of it, is just going to be one of the best EDC knives you're ever going to find. You might argue that point, but I don't think you'll be able to argue it very well. The 940 is just spectacular. And the Dash 2, why is the Dash 2 so good? Well, we'll try to get that articulated during the course of the video, but let's get into some specs. First, how about the blade length and overall size of this knife? Looks like we're coming in at about 7 3/4 in overall length, and the blade itself should be under 3.5, around 3.5, right around 3.5. So good size again, and the weight, sorry, not the weight, but the width is what I'm trying to say. The width on it, let's see if we can get that lined up right, is going to be under half an inch, well under half an inch, just barely over 3/8 looks like. So again, great width, so slips into your pocket very nicely, feels good in hand. Everybody I hand this knife to loves it immediately. It's just got a fantastic balance and feel to it, and the balance point on it is right about there, right where it should be, in my opinion. I mean, that's where my finger goes, right? That's where my index finger goes, and that gives me ultimate, or optimal control over the blade when this is also my balance point. Where my thumb and index finger meet is also the balance point of the knife. In my opinion, that is the optimal place for the balance point, and this knife is perfectly balanced in that way. Let's look at the weight of it in general. And the different 940 models will come in at different weights, but this one, 2.6 ounces. Oh, gosh, man, that's good. That is a fantastic weight, a really fantastic weight. We're zoomed out too far, I think. Let's zoom in a little bit. You guys want to see this knife up close, don't you? And probably one of my favorite features on the 940-2 right there, these anodized barrel spacers. These are aluminum. They are not titanium. I got confirmation from that on Benchmade, from Benchmade. By the way, they sent me this knife, if I didn't say that already. So those are aluminum barrel spacers, and they're beautiful. I love the green and black. So cool. Kind of a toxic color, but I don't know, just kind of bright and jovial at the same time. Really mood enhancing. So just a great design. Let's get into a few of the other 940s. And I suppose we might as well weigh them as we bring them out. So what did this guy come in at? 2.6. 2.6 for the Dash 2. So what else is there? Well, there's the main version of it, the original version right here. On loan from Blade HQ, thanks guys. There it is in the green aluminum with the purple back spacer. Still a gorgeous design, and this is the one that is coated in black. Benchmade does a great job with their blade coatings. I don't remember what it's called, but it's very good. And the weight on that one, 2.8. Okay, so some slight variance there with the aluminum. And how's the balance point on that one? Relatively the same. It's a little further back, actually. But it's pretty dang good. Pretty dang good. Next, how about this one right here, the carbon fiber? Have you guys seen the Dash 1 in carbon fiber? You've seen it. Oh, check that out, dude. The blue barrel spacers. Those would be aluminum as well, since these ones are. And so are these on the Benchmade Griptilian. So let's look at the weight on that guy. 2.4. So this would be the lightest so far. Definitely the lightest so far, and that is the S35V, and no, S90V, that's what it is, S90V. Where's the balance point on this guy? Ooh, it's more right about at the pivot. So it's actually not as far back, and if I put my finger there, it wants to tumble out of my hand. Not optimal, not optimal. We're coming up with some reasons to argue why this is the best. We're coming up with them. And the 943, not really a 940, but practically a 940. The blade is different, obviously. Roughly the same length. The handle scales are the same. The back spacer, that whole construction to the original, is identical, just different colors. All right? And so you got a different blade shape, but same otherwise. And the weight on this guy, 2.7. I could feel that the balance point was different on this one. It's a little more handle heavy. That blade, yeah, I got to bring the balance, I got to bring my finger back here. There's basically the 4 versions of the 940 right there. And yeah, you can say, okay, there's been sprint runs and there's been exclusive runs and whatnot. But as far as versions that will stick with us for a long time, these are them. These are the ones. And according to Benchmade, while this one might come in and out of stock depending on where you're shopping for it, it is here to stay. The Dash 2 is here to stay. It's a line extension, as they call it, much like the Griptilian Dash 1s and Mini Griptilian Dash 1s. They are line extensions. Okay, they are going to stay here as long as people buy them. That goes for the carbon fiber as well. So that's really good news. But I think, I don't know if you guys picked up on it or not, but I think we've made the argument. I think I've come up with the argument of why this is the best one. I guess there's one more point we haven't mentioned. Price. This is actually the least expensive of all the 940 variants that you saw on the table just then. And the exact price is 170-ish or something, 175, I don't know exactly. I'll have a link to buy it down in the description below. You're looking at like 180, 190 there, and you're looking at over 200 for this guy right here. And I think this one's right on par pretty much with the standard 940. But 175 or so. This is the least expensive of the 940 line. And that right there is a huge selling point. But it also has S30V steel on it. So the same steel as the standard 940, cheaper price, better balance point in my opinion, optimal balance point, better than either of those, either of the other ones I showed you. And also G10 handle scales as opposed to aluminum. Nothing wrong with aluminum. Aluminum's great. It feels good in hand. It wears, right? It gets all scuffy and it gets all nasty looking and a little, that's cool in some ways, but it gets to be all Boba Fetted sometimes. You might like that. You might not like that. G10 wears very well. I mean, it almost never shows wear. You've got to really work that stuff in order to get it to appear to be scratched up. It takes a long time. The blade obviously will look scratched up long before the handle will. So G10 as a handle scale, as a material to be using for this knife, fantastic. They also chose the right pocket clip in my opinion. That appears to be the black oxide version, not the painted version. So there's that, and that is reversible if I didn't tell you before. Talking about the handle scale and the design feature of it. Look at this in comparison to the standard 940. You see that they look very similar, but look at the contours closely. Look at where they land, where they're ground, where they're molded, whatever, and look at how they compare. You can see that they are actually quite different. They look related, but they're not identical. So that's really interesting too. I asked my friends at Benchmade what that's about, why the different shape to it. And they said, well, it's basically just an evolution of the design. what we've got here is a new version of it that we plan to have stick around. We're using a new handle material. It's, you know, might as well go a slightly different route with it, make it look a little different. So this little V shape right here is not so scooped down, and sort of the contours here on the front and on the back, they don't come in as far, and they are just a little different looking. Different is good in this case, in my opinion, and you can see sort of the shoulder of the hilt up there as well, and how that's shaped considerably differently. Different is good in this case. Different is very, very good. Let's compare it to a couple of other knives while we've got it here. That's the 940. It may very well be the best EDC on the planet. I'm warning you guys, it might just eclipse this guy as far as I'm concerned. As far as daily carry is concerned, this might be the guy that takes it. All right, it just might. I'm not sure. I'm not saying for sure it will. And there's the Griptilian. And how about, we might as well get an Endura out here. There's an Endura. What about Sage? It's pretty small, but there's a Sage. And one more. I'm hearing that I need to do just one more and then wrap this video up. That's what the producers are telling me. Let's go with the Bird. We got a lot of Spyderco and Benchmade on the table. I don't know about you, but I'm cool with that. And let's get rid of these. Good. And lastly, I've been told that I need to do more size comparisons to everyday objects. So there is the Benchmade 940. You saw it in comparison to all the other 940s. How does that compare to something that you would know from your household, like a Nerf dart? And that's how it compares to a Nerf dart. I guess if I could sum up this video, I would say thank goodness for the Benchmade 940-2. It is just the coolest new knife of 2016. I don't know what else to say. It's kind of taken my breath away in a lot of ways. It's fantastic new EDC. Benchmade, you did a good job. I'm Late Boy Scout. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you guys later.
I guess I'd call that a clip point, although it's kind of a modified and extreme version of a clip point. To a drop point, it'd probably be a little more gradual. Whatever the case, I think it's a beautiful blade shape. Obviously, we've got blackened thumb studs.